Do you think this sport can go on without fans?
No, I don't. I definitely think it can go on without fans on the professional level, on the collegiate level. If you're talking about the Big Five conferences, sure. Outside of them, what you going to do with everybody else? Because they ain't on TV. And so as a result, how are the fans going to be able to see them play? When you are at Alabama, LSU, Ohio State, Clemson, and places like that, you're going to be nationally televised. And as a result, we'll have an opportunity to see you play. But if you're one of the schools from the smaller conferences, no one will ever see you play. So to me, it doesn't make any sense. When we talk about fans not being present, we're making the assumption with the National Football League, Major League Baseball, the NBA, and various other professional sports, you're going to see what you want to see, just not in person. You're going to see it on television, and the vast majority is watching it on television anyway, so you can get over that. It's not ideal, but you can accept it. On the collegiate level, we're talking about outside of the big-time schools that get national television exposure or even local television exposure. No one is going to see these folks at all. And obviously, the gate receipts and what have you go a long way towards financing and subsidizing some of the smaller colleges that don't have that television exposure. So if that's not available to you, I just don't see how you can have it. I agree with the athletic director there. I agree with Swarbrick. I just don't see how it can happen.
Well, there's much more. First of all, let me say, unlike some of your points, which are just utter nonsense, Stephen A., you make a very good point here. So congratulations. That's excellent.
We all know you're lying about that.
We have to strip everything down. We have to strip everything down right now and get ahead of things, right? We have to ask, what is actually essential? Now, I appreciate the point. In college sports, fans are even more essential than in pro sports. Why? I'm going to table what you just said. I'll deal with that in a second. Really, because we're watching minor leagues. It's just the minor leagues. You notice how minor league baseball is not on national TV, right? Because football and basketball package the fans back to themselves. The school spirit is like fully half of the experience. So I do appreciate the importance, the greater even significance of fans and school spirit, especially when broadcasting and packaging and selling back essentially minor league football and basketball, and here we're talking football, to the fans. Now to your point, Stephen A., there will be much more demand, even for smaller schools. Like, there's demand for content on television, sports content especially right now, because we're all starved for it. So I don't think that will actually be an issue. But even in terms of the fans, yes, it's a more significant part of the puzzle with college sports. Yes, you would far prefer it. It would seem weird without it. But is it really a deal breaker? If it's either that or nothing, I'm going to take that all day. It's of greater significance in college, but I don't think it's a deal breaker.
No, listen, I agree with Max that you want to have fans there. I know for a fact there are kids here that grow up their whole lives knowing they won't play college ball, that go to LSU so they can be in Death Valley on Saturday nights. I get all that. Like, the fans are important. But let's look at what Notre Dame's athletic director is really doing here. You need that money. So much of these colleges and the rest of their sports are funded by football. Football is the big sport. Football is the way you're allowed to have women's gymnastics and the way that you're allowed to have men's golf teams. And so you need those fans. You need that box. And so right now, it's easy for him to say, hey, look, man, we need the fans. And we might be able to play 1 or 2 games without the fans, but we can't do that. Now, if it comes down to the decision that he has to make in September that says it's either play without fans or don't play football at all, I believe then when you put your feet to the fire, you have to make a different decision. But right now, he needs to say this. Right now, he needs people to know the fans are essential and that we need to be working toward, if we're the NCAA, working toward a way that we make sure fans get into the stands. And when you talk to college football players, though, and I've talked to many of them throughout this process, they said, you know what, we will play in the bubble on our our campus with no one there as long as we get an opportunity to play, because they're thinking of the next step, which is being seen by scouts, because they're going to watch it on film. And so for me, I like what Notre Dame's athletic director is doing by saying this now. He's making the NCAA work toward a way to make sure fans are in the stands. But if it comes to September and he has to make that decision, Notre Dame is going to play football without people in those stands.
Ryan, let me ask you this question, and I'll defer to your judgment here. Take away the Big Five colleges. Take away the Big Five colleges, the Big Five conferences, I'm sorry. And if you have to play without fans in attendance, how can you pull that off without the fans if you're a college program and you're not a member of the Big Five?
No. I think it's going to be extremely difficult. I do believe for those smaller schools, from a monetary standpoint, there is going to be a situation where they need to figure out how they can get this done and let it benefit the school or not hurt the school. I agree with that totally. But on the other side of that, they're going to owe some type of responsibility to their athletes, who have dreams of playing on the next level, or this may be their last opportunity to play at all. And so if they have an opportunity, if everything is cleared medically where they feel that these athletes can go out and perform, it's going to be hard for them to not work as hard as possible or go through their due diligence of trying to allow these young scholar athletes their last opportunity to put things out there on the field.
Yeah, Stephen A., let me ask you this.
Only point to close out. Go ahead, Max.
If there was a football game on right now with two programs that you never found significant, would you watch?
Yes, but you're missing my point. I'm not talking about that, Max. I'm talking about not having the television cameras available. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.